beautiful friends, it's Amanda here, and this is the second video that I'm making about the ColourPop and Disney Villains collection. If you haven't seen the first one, make sure you go and check that out. I'll link it down in the description box for you. In that video, I covered all of the lip and cheek products, swatched everything, lip swatched all the lip products. In this video, I'm going to go over all of the eye products. We have 6 Jelly Much shadows and a very exciting eyeshadow palette. This collection is launching in its entirety on the ColourPop website on Thursday, March 21st. Select products will be available at both Ulta and shopdisney.com. As all of these different products start to pop up, I will link them down in the description box for you, but I'm going to try to get this video up as quickly as possible before the products go up for sale so that you can get all the info, and hopefully this will help you decide which pieces you want to grab so that you can make that shopping cart checkout dash a little bit quicker. I'm sure there will be some different bundles. I don't have any information about the sets and bundles that will be available with this Villains collection. I only have the pricing and the details on the individual pieces, so I'm going to give you everything I know, and as more information becomes available, I will try to stay on top of updating the description boxes. If you haven't seen my first video yet, I just want to give you a little recap. We are seeing villains from different stories in this collection than we saw in the previous ColourPop Disney Designer collection. Disney Designer included Cinderella, Snow White, Ariel, Belle, Jasmine, and Tiana. In the Villains collection, we're seeing 3 of the bad guys from the same stories that were included in the previous one. So the Evil Queen from Snow White, Dr. Facilier, and Ursula from The Little Mermaid. We're seeing 3 villains from new stories included in this collection. So Cruella from 101 Dalmatians, Hades from Hercules, and Maleficent from Sleeping Beauty. Each one of these villains has been represented by a luxe lipstick, an ultra glossy lip, and a super shock highlighter. Now, as we're getting into the eye products, each villain has their own Jelly Much shadow as well. I love the Jelly Much shadows. I'm so glad they decided to include the Jelly Much shadows in this collection. I love super shock shadows, but I'm really happy to see some new Jelly Much shades coming out. The Jelly Much shadows in this collection are priced at $8 a piece. They do have special packaging, so I'm going to show you some close-ups of these Jelly Much shadows individually in their pots alongside the special outer packaging. I also want to show you swatches of all 6 shades side by side, just swiped right onto my arm. None of these shades are super similar, but I still find it helpful to see all the shades laid out together when I'm deciding which pieces I want to buy from a collection. So here are all 6 Jelly Much shadows. I'm also going to use one of these in the eyeshadow tutorial that I show you after we get through the palette swatches. So stay tuned to the end of the video for that. Now let's talk about the eyeshadow palette. I don't know if I've been this excited by an eyeshadow palette in a really long time. This pressed powder palette from the Villains collection is called Misunderstood. It's retail priced at $22 US. The outer packaging is a more plain, like black cardboard box. You can see some details embossed on here. There are shade names pictured on the back. The palette itself has such cool packaging. I love this artwork. We see some snippets from the original Disney movies set up in this weird like flip screen prism type of setup. I love that the colors are really bold and really saturated, but overall, even though it is colorful and bright, it still has like a dark feeling to it. It's so perfectly encapsulates the Disney villains. I feel that the Disney villains do tend to be quite colorful, but they all have a darkness about them. So I love the packaging. Just 10 out of 10 on the packaging. I love this so much. We do see the shade names printed on the back as well. The palette is their standard heavy-duty cardboard packaging with a magnetic closure. No mirror inside here. We are getting that very pretty, like hollow background for the pans that always messes up my white balance on camera, but it's okay, it's worth it because it's so pretty. The shade names are also printed inside next to the pans. It's a little bit hard to see since my ring light is shining and really reflecting on this background, but they are printed in here. We love that. Of the 15 shades, there are only 5 mattes. This really bright white, these 2 sort of like warm transition-y type colors, a dark royal blue navy, and a matte black. The rest are shimmers. When you see the swatches of these shimmers, I'll let the swatches speak for themselves. Since this palette is so heavily shimmery, I was very skeptical about it because I do like a more even mix of mattes and shimmers, but these shimmers are so good. I don't know what they did, if this is a different formula or what, but just wait until you see the brush swatches. Okay, I won't make you wait anymore. I'm gonna go ahead and show you swatches of all 15 shades in this Misunderstood palette. I will be swatching on the inside of my arm with no primer or base foundation down. First, it's just gonna be the shadow straight onto my arm. I will be doing both finger and brush swatches. For my brush swatches, I'll be using my e.l.f. flat eyeshadow brush, and I'll clean the brush off in between each shade using the Vera Mona color switch. This is the very top row of the palette, and just a reminder that on top are the finger swatches and then below is the corresponding brush swatch. I kind of have to remind myself of that because these brush swatches are out of this world. So good. The majority of the mattes in this palette are seen on this top row. First, a bright white called No Spots. Next, 2 very shimmery metallics, a champagne called Mongrels, and a very bright lime green called Diablo. Next, a warm orange called Devious, and a lighter warm tan shade called Tragic. Now moving on to the middle row of the palette, we're starting off with 4 very shimmery shades, a deep orangey copper kind of color called Underworld, and then a more sparkly or glittery gold shade called Pain and Panic. Then we see a really bright pop of purple here in the color Forest of Thorns, and a very pale pink to blue shifting shade. This one is called Flotsam. Lastly, that gorgeous royal navy blue matte called The Fates. Moving on to the very last row of the palette, we see a very glittery black shade called Revenge. This is a matte with silver glitters, but the silver glitters very much translate onto the skin. Then one of my favorite shades in the palette is Sing. It's a gorgeous eggplant burgundy type of shade. I really love it. Then a blue and a green, both medium jewel tone shades. And lastly, of course, a matte black. Look at the brush swatch on that matte black. It is so intense and amazing. Now that you've seen all the swatches, let's jump into a quick tutorial using this Misunderstood palette and one of the Jelly Mud shadows to get this eye look that I'm wearing in the video today. And then I'll wrap up all my thoughts at the end. I'm starting off just like I always start every eye look with my MAC Painterly Paint Pot to prime my lids. And then I'm going to set that eye base using my MAC Studio Water Weight Pressed Powder. That way we have a nice smooth surface to work on. Then the Misunderstood palette. So excited to finally be using this in a video for you. I'm starting off with Tragic, which is pretty much the perfect transition shade for me. I'm just sweeping that into my crease and then pushing it down just a little bit onto my eyelid. I'm building up these colors really slowly because I am going to do a little bit darker, bolder look than I usually do. I'm going to apply the shade Sing using my ring finger, and I'm tapping that right onto my lid, really trying to be careful not to get that dark shade too high up. Now with my pointer finger, I'm applying Forest of Thorns. This one works a little bit better with a sort of sweeping motion instead of the tapping motion that I used for Sing. And now I am just blending with no additional product with my ColourPop blending brush. And I did want to bring just a little bit more depth and drama to the outer corner, so I layered on just a little bit more Sing. To add some dimensionality to this purple look, I'm taking Flotsam and tapping that in the very center of my eye. Then for my lower lash line, I'm building up Tragic and making that pretty smoky on the lower lash line. Then with a pencil brush, I'm applying the shade Sing, this time just on the very outer part of my lower lash line. Since this is an overall smoky look, I'm not being too precise. For my inner corner, I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm taking the Jelly Much shadow in the shade Spindle and using a really small flat detail brush. I am building that up all around the inner corner and a little bit above and below onto the lids as well, so that I can really work that inner corner shade into the rest of the look. Of course, I'm going to curl my lashes and add some of my CoverGirl Exhibitionist mascara. This is a close-up of the eye look, and zoomed out a bit, this is the full completed look using a bunch of pieces from this Villains collection. I really love this. I love how it turned out. It's colorful yet dark and sultry. It's so fun. Well, if you can't already tell, I freaking love this collection, and I think that the eyeshadow products are the absolute standouts. This palette is so good. I don't know what kind of Disney villain magic they put in these shimmer shades, but the brush swatches were blowing me away. I am so impressed by how well these swatch, how well they apply. I think they really nailed it with the color scheme here. We're getting a mix of neutrals and colors. You could very easily pull some of these more neutral shades that we see over here and these two like mattes on top, and you could get a super neutral, just like easy sort of everyday eye. But it's also very easy to pull in some of these colors. I like this dark row on the bottom here. You can really go more smoky and more dramatic. Totally great for a villain look. The green and purple are like classic Disney villain colors. I love that they went more jewel toned and brighter with those. Really happy to see this dark blue matte. The only thing I would change is I would swap out one of these like bronzy shades for a green matte. I think seeing even like a deep smoky forest green or an olive green really would have added something different to this palette. That is the only thing I would change. I am crazy about this palette. The formula is insanely good. The packaging is beautiful. It's exciting. It's interesting. It's true to the theme. I love it. I'm crazy for it. I can't stop rambling about it. Really good palette. As I mentioned before, I'm a big fan of the Jelly Much shadows. Really love this formula. The only one in this collection that I wasn't super crazy about was this green shade called Not Today. This had a little bit thicker feeling texture to it. I don't know if it's because it had some bigger chunks of glitter in there or what, but this is the only one I wasn't really crazy for. My top 3 picks from the Jelly Much shadows are Perfectly Wretched, which is the really sparkly champagne shade. This purple iridescent color that I used in the tutorial today, this one's called Spindle. And the blue shade ended up being so gorgeous. This one's called Just Your Voice. These are my top 3 picks. In general, I just enjoy all of them, but I think these are the standouts for me. This like rusty orange shade called I Own You. I feel like I maybe have a Jelly Much sort of in this color already. Same for Cursed, the yellowy gold. Very beautiful. It just reminds me a little bit of other colors that I already have. So these are nice. And if you don't already have Jelly Much shadows in these colors, I still definitely recommend these, but that's the only reason why these aren't among my top picks. Hopefully that makes sense. I am such a big fan of this collection, from the styling, the artwork, the packaging, the shade selection. I think that this is a beautifully executed villains collection. I'm really excited by this. Definitely go check out the other video that I made about the lip products and the Super Shock cheeks. There's some glitters in there as well. Make sure you check that video out. Now's the time when I want to hear what you think about these products. Are you going to be ordering anything from this collection? Which Disney villain is your favorite? Is there any villain that you wish was included that isn't in this collection? I want to hear all your thoughts in the comments below. As always, thank you so, so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye. Oh, oopsie. I'm getting excited. I gotta calm down. Palette, just throw that out there. Misunderstood. Aw. Tutorial. Ma'am, can you speak? No? You can't? Okay, great. Great. Spoiler alert. I love it. My paint pot's looking a little crusty. Might be time for a new one. I am just, a Super Shock shadow. Oh, Super Shock highlighter. I hope I didn't say Super Shock shadow a bunch of times in my previous video. Girl, I gotta edit these so quickly now. Don't yell at me if I'm late. I'm sorry. I'm doing my best. Doing my best, okay. Okay. I gotta go charge my camera now so that I can edit. Okay. Dang it. Super shock highlighters. I mean, can we talk about this highlight? Like, are you seeing what I see? Because I see a magnificent glow. What are you even talking about? Okay, you need to stop. Gotta go. Okay, bye.